I first discovered Pippin when I was in high school, at North Little Rock High School, and I think I was in 10th grade, and we did a words and music cutting of it. I got to choose that, and I selected Pippin as our show. Everything that we're working with in this production is really theatrical, so we're using the theatrical language to tell the story as written, and I think that's pretty special. You know, the people involved are quite fantastic. The design team is phenomenal. We had an amazing time thinking about the visual world of the play and setting it in the 1930s in the Dust Bowl as a traveling carnival. Really was a really fun experience, and then the cast is just phenomenal. It's a really talented group of people, and they are just super willing to get in and play and try things and be a little crazy. And Mark, the music director, is fantastic. It's been really great to have a really strong team of people on this project. Putting it in the 1930s kind of gets to that desperation. Pippin is so desperate to find his life, and this band of players is so desperate to have this person that they're bringing into their play, into their world, that it seemed like a very fitting time and place to really be in the Dust Bowl. Jeff, the set designer, the scenic designer, and I talked a lot about that, and we used trunks. There's trunks throughout the show, and it's a reoccurring motif, and we kind of rearranged these trunks to be different things. And the show starts with the leading player sitting on a pile of trunks, and everything kind of comes out of it. So it has this really transient feeling, impermanence that, you know, when you're in a traveling show. I mean, when I was traveling all the time as a performer and still as a choreographer and director, like, you kind of live out of a bag. You have to fit everything in that bag, and it goes everywhere with you. And so that sense of always traveling with your things, I think that's how we're really playing with the idea of a traveling carnival. So this is where my collaboration with our costume designer, Mike Floyd, really was super exciting. When we started thinking about, when we went to carnival, which is different than circus. When you think about the circus, you think about like a tightrope walker and, you know, some things that are kind of a little bit more elegant. Well, a carnival isn't particularly elegant, and we were thinking about fun things like the freak shows and like what kind of sideshow attractions there would be. And so we started thinking about the strongman and the hoochie coochie dancers, like the tent dancers, and the fortune tellers and mind readers and different snake charmers. And we went through kind of all of the different stock characters that used to travel in these carnivals. And then we looked at the characters themselves and started making some correlation. For instance, Bertha, the grandmother, she's from a different era, and so she's from Ziegfeld Follies. She's like a Follies girl. So it's that really beautiful costume. She makes these shapes, and she just like travels, and it's really kind of this really old, turn-of-the-century elegant. And Lewis, you know, being the big warrior, of course, he's the big strong man. Like, you know, and there's all these funny puns about him being like this big kind of ridiculous guy. So it kind of had these natural fits. And of course, the leading player is the barker, the kind of getting everybody to come in and play. We set it backstage so we could kind of see the backside of humanity, in that the carnival show is still happening, but we're seeing a different kind of act, which is the kind of just the everyday, the ordinary, kind of behind the sparkly magic. You know, I think Pippin is all of us. I think, you know, we've all, male or female, we've all had this desire to ask questions about our purpose in life and what am I doing here, and feeling like we really have so much to give, but we don't quite know where to put it. You know, there's some classic examples of that, of like, you know, when you go into college, right, and you're like, oh, you're expected to choose a major right away, and you know, but maybe you don't quite know what to do, and maybe you need to try a little of this and try a little of that and find your path. And one of the things I love about the story of Pippin is that he really searches for his path, and he doesn't do necessarily what he's supposed to do or what should be done, that he really asks questions about what can I do, what's out there, what's possible for me, and he tries a lot of different things, which is great. And I think we all wear a lot of different hats. You know, I think, especially now, it's very rare to have one job through your entire life. We all change careers and change jobs within it. So I think even more with contemporary life, that the story of Pippin has become even more relevant. Yeah, so the biggest challenge is taking all of these disparate numbers that kind of have different stylistic feels to them. And Act 1 is like really big and loud and this ruckus musical, and in Act 2 it's like a totally different experience. It's really the everyday world, and then at the end of the show it kind of goes into a whole other feel. So how to connect all of those so it feels like a piece has been the biggest challenge.